Hello everyone, I'm Alvin of Alvin Inc. and today we're gonna have a little chat. So, I first bought Animal Crossing right as it came out back in March, and since then, I've put in, I believe, over 1,000 hours. I'm not sure how far or how much over 1,000, but definitely over 1,000 hours into this game. And over the course of my 1,000-hour journey, I have restarted my island on 3 separate occasions. And the primary culprit as to why I chose to restart my island 3 different times is really terraforming. And my last 2 islands, that was like all I focused on. And I got decent. I made some really beautiful like mountainy things and rivers and lakes, and I had a lot of fun with it. But the problem that kept arising every time was I just got sucked into this world of terraforming. And for myself, the way that I go through life is I try to do my best at everything I do. So with terraforming, it's subjective, but in my mind, it could always be better. It could always be improved. There's always something more that I could do to make my island more easy to navigate, more aesthetically pleasing, whatever have you. And there were days I would spend like 6 or 7 hours just sitting with Animal Crossing and working on terraforming this one specific area, and it was 7 hours. I spent 7 hours terraforming, only to the next day tear it all down again and start with a new idea because I wasn't satisfied with what I spent 7 hours working on. And to those of you who can terraform and accept what it is, like once you've put the game down and you finished with your terraforming build, like just accept, okay, this is what it is for now, and now I'm going to work on something else. Like, bravo to you, because that is a huge level of restraint and like self-control that I guess I just don't have. So yeah, that's one of the primary reasons. And if you're familiar with my channel, you would know that like none of my speed builds really address terraforming. At some point in the future, I'm definitely going to be making a video like terraforming tips or something along those lines, because I learned a lot. Like I learned a lot about terraforming and mountains and rivers and lakes and like creating neighborhoods, and I learned a lot of really cool stuff from my experience with terraforming. But I lost the joy of the game. I never spoke to my villagers. I never went fishing or bug catching. I love like chopping wood. I don't know why. It is the most like menial, repetitive thing ever. But there's just this like just calmness that I feel when I'm just hacking at a tree and I see the little pieces of wood pop out. Like it's just so nice. And I didn't do that. I didn't focus on any of that while I was terraforming. And so I feel like I was neglecting like 80% of the game because I was just over here trying to build my triple tier neighborhood with the waterfall and river coming through and that diagonal bridge, and it was just so much. And I know that there are many individuals who they're like their hands are like God when they're working with Animal Crossing and terraforming, and they can just sculpt and carve and create the most like beautiful, breathtaking islands. And that is a phenomenal skill, and I am like ecstatic for you that you have that ability. But if you're like me and you feel like nothing you create is ever good enough, it's a really difficult place to be, because I want to create something beautiful, and I want to create something that's easy to navigate, and I want to create something that like other people will enjoy seeing and learning how to create. But for me, it's a slippery slope. And the reason I went with the name Serenum is Sera from Serenity, which is just to help remind me that when I play this game, my goal isn't to build the most intricate mountain range. It's to feel at peace and to feel calm and to let go of my stress and anxiety and the dark nightmares that plague my mind, and just give in to an amazing game and play with my villagers and chop wood and go swimming and just enjoy the experience. So really, that's the reason that I restarted my island. I just wanted to play the game with more intention, be more thoughtful about what I'm doing and how I'm playing this game, instead of just this mindless zombie that just keeps clicking away. And part of restarting for me, because I know I could flatten. That's something that is kind of a debate issue, is do you flatten your island and start fresh from there, or do you just restart? And again, a huge factor as to why I didn't just like flatten my island and start again that way was because if you flatten your island, you still have to terraform at some point, unless you're gonna just have a giant island that's flat with like one river and some trees or something. You still have to terraform again, and when you start terraforming again, it all comes back, and it's just another 7 hours that I just spend in this mindless fog, and it wasn't good for me, it wasn't good for my time, and I chose to do a full restart. And what I like about that is, like literally, for picking Serenum, picking the island layout, it took me 3 hours of refreshing those 4 maps before I found an island layout where I was like, yes, this is a layout that has essentially everything I want, has some kind of, like, I have a little canyon kind of thing, which I love, and I never really made a canyon, so I'm like, oh my gosh, I can have a canyon. But it took me 3 hours just to pick my layout. And now that I have my layout, I've done like extremely minor terraforming, like literally like moving a cliff over 1 square so that I could fit an incline or something like that. Just because I don't think I'm ready to go full into a terraforming redesign of my island, and I don't need to. I think that's something that I've gotten caught up in a little bit, and maybe some of you have as well, is this desire and this like need to try and create something that doesn't need to be created. You don't have to have this intricate, ornate island design with like 3,000 rivers and a giant lake and a giant mountain range and try to fit all of this stuff into your island. If that's what you want and that's what brings you joy with playing the game, absolutely do that. But if you're like me and you get a little obsessive, it's okay to let go of the desire for perfection. It's okay to let go of the unrealistic expectations of yourself. Like, the point of this game is to feel like you have an escape from whatever is not going well in your life, or just to have something in your life that brings you this calm sense of joy. That's what the game is for me. And I think that for most of us out there, that's really what we want this game to be. We want this game to be something that we can pick up after a long, hard day and just give in to something fun and something that's repetitive and something that there is no winning. There is no best island. There is no perfection that you can obtain through this game because it's not real. And for me, I needed to remember to let go of that yearning for something that what is the point? Like, what is the point of having 1,000 hours of your life go simply to terraforming if that's not what you're into? If that's what you're into, fine. But for myself, like I said, I wanted to focus on other aspects of the game, and I didn't. I forgot about everything else. I remember I had Judy. I was so excited to have Judy on my island. I spoke to her like twice in the course of like a month or two, because I never interact with my villagers. I'm like, what's the point of spending all these Nook Mile tickets to get all of these villagers that you love if you don't actually interact with them, if you don't actually build a relationship with them? So the last little bit of advice that I have for anyone playing Animal Crossing is be intentional. Be intentional with what the game is to you and what you want out of the game. If all you want is something to let your creative juices flow and you just want to terraform to your heart's content, terraform to your heart's content. If you just want to design gorgeous articles of clothing and designs, absolutely have at it and do that to the fullest that you can. But just remember, keep in the back of your mind, like, what is the reason that you play this game? Why do you play Animal Crossing as opposed to the millions of other games or thousands of other games that are out there? What is it about Animal Crossing that you enjoy? And then do it and focus on it and go wholeheartedly into that. And anything else that just creates more unnecessary stress in your life, let it go. Just let it go. It can be hard, but let it go. It's not worth it to just spend hours doing something just to feel like you're still defeated. So yeah, that is why I chose to restart my island. I hope that this inspired you in some way with your own island and reminded you what's important to you about the game. Thank you so much for joining me and for listening to my little rant. Remember to like and to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!